Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commanders studio. Welcome to the show. So the moment that you've been waiting for, all of spoiler season for Aetherdrift and the precons, that's right, the Golden Pig Awards. What are my favorite commanders for one reason or another from the set and the precons? I will explain all that to you, and then you can disagree with me in the comments and be like, I hate that commander, it's terrible! But no, please, constructive criticism only. But yeah, I understand that everyone's got different opinions. Let's jump into my picks. So, first up, coming in at 10th place, we've got what I believe is going to be a very popular commander, Nissa, Worldsoul Speaker from one of the precons. A 3/3 Elf Druid for 4 mana in green. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you get 2 energy counters, and you may pay 8 energy rather than pay the mana cost for permanent spells you cast. Well, yeah, that is a really cool way to go about energy, and also making it into a mono green commander makes it very compact and kind of exactly, you know what you're going to be doing? Getting lands out and then utilizing them in a different way. Yes, we've seen landfall before, but this is, hey, landfall equals energy, which equals free things, which can be quite fun. And there's some weird, wonky interactions with this that you can utilize. There's, of course, other ways to get energy as well, other energy using cards, but still just at a base level, just giving you a different avenue as a, resource, essentially giving you energy as that avenue. It can be a lot of fun. And there's some pretty cool things you do that, at the very least, right? Just play your Evolving Wilds. There you go. Get into play, tap, sacrifice this land, get a base land, and play tap. Basically, any kind of a fetch lane, even a budget-friendly one like this. And I should mention that all the cards I'm going to be bringing up on this episode, outside of maybe some of the commanders that might be some expensive, ones, depending on where they end up. Every single one of the cards I'm bringing up, though, is going to be budget-friendly. So yeah, Evolving Wilds, 3 cents. Awesome, amazing. Yeah, get 4 energy counters, essentially, from your commander. Amazing. Or how about 6, though, if you also have Architect of the Untamed in play. 2/3 Elf Artificer Druid for 3 mana. Whenever a land enters battlefield you control, you get an energy. So an extra one. Lovely. Also pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I'm glad that they actually finally, start to write that out now for things like, this commander. Create a 6/6 colorless beast artifact creature token. So extra energy, that's lovely. And of course, make a beast army. What's not to love about that? But of course, the name of the game is cheat out massive things. Yeah, Artisan of Kozilek. Lovely. Massive. Huge. 10/9 Eldrazi for 9 mana. When you cast it, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it's got Annihilator too. Keep in mind, unlike other commanders that might cheat things into play, Nissa technically is not cheating things into play. You are actually just paying an alternative cost for it. So, because of that, well, you still get the cast trigger. You still get that cast trigger to create things, even though you're not paying any mana for it, you're just paying energy for it. So yeah, use your 8 energy, and then just drop this into play, bring something else back that is massive, and then have fun with your Eldrazi. Yeah, Nissa gives you a lot of different avenues to utilize energy, and just gives you an absurd abundance of energy to utilize with other energy using cards. It's a really cool new design for a commander, and I'm glad they're finally giving energy players out there an avenue to, utilize it in a really cool way. Next up with 9th place, though. All right, this one has been growing on me, though. At first, once I saw the preview trailer, if you haven't seen the preview trailer, I would recommend skipping it for Aetherdrift. But yeah, the whole hey, this is the announcer person, and it's kind of annoying. Flip's adorable. Why is this one annoying? Regardless, it's a cool design for a commander. Very simple, very effective. Vnwxt? I think that's probably how we say that. Again, it's really tough without any of the vowels. Verbose host, a 0/4 homunculus for 2 mana in blue. Start your engines. You have no maximum hand size and max speed. If you draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. Now, with Start Your Engines, it is a very, I think the term is parasitic mechanic, where in order to make it good, you kind of just have to chuck in all of these Start Your Engines cards into a deck. That's not the case with this commander, because this commander itself is incredibly low to the ground, literally just 2 mana, and you can start your engines quite quickly with it, so do so. And obviously, once you get to that max speed, that is a massive benefit for you, doubling up your card draw, which is huge. And of course, again, when it comes to just, even if you're not at that point, you still get a benefit out of it. You still get value out of it. It has no maximum hand size for you, and that is already a good benefit. Again, you're a blue player. You want to draw cards, right? But you can really take advantage of once you finally do get to that, max speed, which is quite easy to do when you have a commander this low to the ground. You can take advantage of cards like Brainstorm in an amazing way. Again, cards that literally only provide one piece of card advantage, like one card with this technically, even though it's actually just replacing itself in a way, so it's like kind of like net neutral. Brainstorm an instant for a single blue, draw 3, put 2 cards to your hand on top of your library in any order. It's a good card, very solid, especially if you have fetch lands. But still, when it comes to the amount of cards that you're actually, gaining, you're gaining 1, and you lost 1 by playing the card. That being said, with this commander in play, once you got that max speed, this is pay 1 mana, draw 6, put 2 on top. So yeah, you're gaining an absurd amount of card advantage again with certain effects like this. Looting effects become so much better too. I love commanders that give you a different avenue to use and abuse cards that, well, usually are just, a certain kind of use, and let you kind of see a different aspect of them and really take advantage of them. Fairy Seer, again, a low to the ground 1/1 fairy wizard for a single blue mana, flying, enters battlefield, scry 2. Nice to set up your card draw with this as well, but again, those low to the ground evasive creatures can be massive. Again, you get this down turn 1, get your commander on turn 2, get that speed up right away. There's a lot of different ways to make your opponents lose life on your turn. Blue's got a lot of low to the ground evasive creatures, they flying men as they're called essentially, so make sure you utilize those. But of course, yeah, there's other Cryptolith Fragment. Awesome, cool. It just taps for a mana and makes everyone lose a life. Awesome, that works too. That being said, when it comes to losing life, Psychosis Crawler, a good finisher for you as well. Really take advantage of this with this commander. Star for Phyrexian for 5 mana. Power Toughness, each equal number of cards in your hand. And again, your commander not only draws you a ton of cards, but also gives you maximum hand size, so have fun making this massive. On top of that, though, whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life, which again can be absolutely huge. Basically, again, when you draw any card, you're drawing 2 now, and you are draining for 2 every single time. So yeah, this one has been growing on me more and more and more. There's a lot of cool possibilities with it, a lot of things to take advantage of. Basically like a Teferi's Ageless Insight or Thought Reflection essentially in your command zone, but much cheaper, but you have to work to get to it. I like that. And again, it gets around like the parasitic nature of that mechanic where, yeah, it's low enough to the ground that you don't have to worry about throwing everything else in the deck that has, start your engines. Sure, some of those lands might be good because it's like, okay, turn 1, got it, awesome. But it's still amazing commander and a really cool design for it. I like this one enough to be at 9th place. That being said, let's move on to 8th place with Mendicant Core Guidelight. The names of these robots are very strange, but they're adorable! A star 3 Ledger Artifact creature robot for 2 mana in Azorius. Its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control, which is already fun because you can do some crazy things, get an absurd amount of artifacts in play quite quickly, and this can hit really, really hard. And also, you're in white, so you have double strike effects. So you can make this just all of a sudden take a player out with 1 shot, and it's like, oh, I am a tiny little 2-mana robot, but I will destroy your world. Start your engines. Again, a commander that has that parasitic mechanic, but it does not matter because it is low to the ground. Max speed, whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay 1. If you do, copy it. So yeah, this is where I do like the max speed, where I do like to start your engines. When you have a commander that can, again, get out there quickly, and then all of a sudden you are ready to go. You're ready to get that going, get that speed up there, get to that max speed, and the payoff is massive. Again, just, hey, you know what? I played this artifact, pay 1 extra mana to copy it? Oh, sure, yeah, so much value. We had so many broken things you can do with that. I mean, just at the very least, like Foundry Inspector, all right? Already great in an artifact deck. 3/2 construct for 3 mana. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Great, amazing, awesome, cool. How's 2 of them in play, though? Much better, even better than that, because now you're reducing the cost even further of all your things. The Indomitable, what a cool name. 6/6 Ledger Artifact vehicle for 4 mana in blue. Trample. Whenever a creature control deals combination to a player, draw a card. Through 3. It also cast from your graveyard. Don't worry about that. Pirates vehicles, whatever. What really matters though with this one again is whenever a creature control deals combination to a player, draw a card. And yeah, you're gonna want some low to the ground evasive creatures again for this commander, so you can get those engines going, so you can get that speed up. So by now having them in play, you also get extra value when they're getting through on a player, and double that value up because again, you're going to just pay 1 extra mana to copy this, and all of a sudden you've got 2 in play, and there's some pretty heavy hitters for you as well. I mean, even at the very least, like, copy a Dreamstone Hedron. That is so much value. Your opponent's heads are going to be spinning with so much value you have. Artifact for 6, tap for 3, pay 3, tap, sacrifice, draw 3 cards. Yeah, okay, you spent 6 to get it out. You pay 1 extra mana, all of a sudden you get an extra copy of it. You can immediately tap for 6, nearly the amount of mana that you just paid for it. In total you paid 7, right? So you can tap for 6, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. I just ramped by 6. Opponents over there who maybe have the green deck, sorry, I'm copying all my artifacts and I've got more mana than you, my bad. But yes, this is a commander that, again, can go in a couple different directions, is a really fun prospect of a commander where it's like, you know what, I'm going to get it out early, I'm going to get some low to the ground base creature out early, I'm going to have them swing, and all of a sudden, this gets bigger because I'm probably getting lowly ground evasive artifact creatures out, and then this can hit really hard too. It can be a one-shot KO commander, and it can also be a incredible value engine, doubling up all your artifacts and doing some broken things as well. 8th place for Mendicant Core Guidelight. Next up, though, 7th place with Redshift Rocketeer Chief, a 2/3 Goblin Pilot for 2 mana in Gruul Vigilance. Tap at X mana of any one color, X is its power, spell only activate abilities, exhaust for 10 and Gruul colors, put any number of permanent cards in your hand on the battlefield. I like when you actually have to work for something. Galta. Sorry, no, nothing against Galta, but yeah, Galta is just like, hey, the new Galta, I mean, like, cheat into play, and then, cast it still, but, just ramp a ton, and then all of a sudden you cheat everything else into play. Cool. This one you actually have to do at least a little bit of work to get there, right? That is a huge payoff, but, you can also do a lot of fun things with the mana. So, of course, you're in 2 colors that are great at pumping this creature, getting a lot of power onto it, and all of a sudden then tapping it, like, Black Later Forge type things as well, for an absurd amount of mana, and then utilize that mana, and then say, hey, I don't want to spend mana on, my creatures anyways, or my permanents in my hand. I just want to dump them into play. So yeah, being able to utilize this mana on this ability and other abilities can be quite fun. Agatha the Vile Cauldron can be a great card to help it out. A 1/1 Human Warlock for 2 mana in Gruul. Activate abilities creature control cost X less to activate, where X is Agatha's power. Effect can't reduce the amount of mana less than 1 mana. Also pays 6 in total. Other creature control gain haste and trample until end of turn and ++1. Lovely. Lots of value to be had. And again, extra pump effects can really help this as well. And of course, reduce the cost of your activated abilities throughout. And now your commander's activated ability can really help with all the other ones too. And of course, this helps with your commanders as well. Speaking of activated abilities though, Sword of the Parents, my goodness. Yeah, yet another commander that goes infinite with this. Equipment for 4. You can ignore like the whole tapped and untapped thing. I mean, it's nice, but don't worry about that all that much. What matters is pay 3. You may tap or untap equip creatures. So yeah, if your commander can tap for 3, it can do that infinitely. If you can tap for 4, you can do it infinitely and get infinite mana that can be utilized to activate abilities. So have fun with that if that's the direction you want to go. Regardless though, like just get erased by giants and play. Have fun. Legendary enchantment for 6 mana. Creatures you control that are commanders are going to be, well, base power and toughness 10/10, and also a giant. So now you've got a giant goblin pilot. Cool. That doesn't fit in its car anymore. That being said, it is now a 10/10, meaning it does just inherently tap for 10 mana on top of it being a big beefy creature in combat with that vigilance, which is lovely. But yeah, being able to just tap for 10, you're almost all the way there. You just need the red and the green left to actually activate that ability, and all of a sudden you dump everything into play, which is absolutely lovely. But yeah, you can do some absolutely crazy, amazing things with this one. And I do like that you actually have to work for it. You actually have to work for that effect. It's not just, oh yeah, they wrote the combo on the card. It's like, okay, a little bit, but you actually have to like work to get there. So get that power up, do some fun things, swing away, and then dump your hand to play. And then maybe, because it's exhausted, right? Maybe you have a way to like bounce it back to your hand, Team or Saber-tooth style, get it back in play, and then do it again sometime once you get even more cards in your hand. Have fun. 7th place for Redshift. Moving on to 6th place, we've got Gonti, Night Minister. Now, Gonti is back and in a big way. A 3/4 Aetherborn Rogue for 4 mana in black. Whenever a player casts a spell they don't own, that player creates a treasure token. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponent's control, looks at the top card of that opponent's library and exiles it face down. They may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. Mana of any type. They need like a keyword for that, but yeah, any kind of mana. They need just like a shorten that, like, that card is, I don't even know. Like, manaless. I don't know. Just something like that. Like, just give it some kind of a name instead of all this text. That's a lot of words to say every single time. Regardless, it is a really fun commander. It's kind of like Edric Spymaster of Tress, but like in a different way. It's like, hey, everyone, instead of everyone attacking each other and like drawing a card off of your deck, draw a card off your opponent's deck. And also, here's the treasure token so you can utilize that, to cast things quicker. So yeah, get a lot of low the ground evasive creatures out, start swinging, get some treasures, and start encouraging your opponents to do the same at their opponents. At your opponents, I should say, not you. So say, hey, you know what? You could attack me, but then you don't get free things. Do you like free things? I like free things. Let's all attack each other except for me. So, of course, you get things out like Tormented Soul. Very simple, very effective. A 1/1 spirit that does one thing. It attacks. It costs single black mana. Can't block and is unblockable. Cool. You don't care about blocking. What you want to do is just attack. You get it through. All of a sudden, you're making a treasure every single turn with this, and you get a free impulse draw basically off the top of opponent's library, but that you get to keep and you can utilize. Age of the Iron Throne, a way to take advantage of making all those treasures. Background enchantment for 3 mana. Their creatures you own have whatever an artifact or creature control has been engraved from the battlefield. Each opponent loses 1 life. Again, you're going to be going wide, getting a lot of low-to-the-ground evasive creatures out. You're going to be making a ton of treasures. Now, when any of those creatures get taken out, or of course, you sacrifice any of those treasure tokens, and yes, tokens do technically hit the graveyard temporarily, they do drain your opponents. So now all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I made all these treasures. Drain you all. Yay, I'm winning! Thieving Amalgam, yet another way to not only steal things, but to drain opponents as well. 6, 7, 8 Snake for 7 mana. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you manifest the top card of that player's library. Whenever a creature you control, but don't own, dies, its owner loses 2 life, you gain 2 life. Basically, again, hey, get some free creatures out and play. Awesome. Some more creatures you can just swing with, attack with, which are technically your opponents. It's just random cards, which is great. Awesome. And you can flip them over if you need to if they're creatures. That being said, though, what you really care about is, my creatures that I'm stealing from you, that I'm, casting off the top of your deck, basically, they're mine, and you also own them, though, so when they die, you lose, too. It's gonna take you out. Gonti Knight Minister, an awesome new commander, one that, again, kind of involves, like, low the ground, like flying men type strategy, some artifact shenanigans, as well as some politicking, too. What's not to love about 6th place Gonti? Next up, a real heavy hitter at number 5. We've got Ketramose, the New Dawn. This brand new god did not disappoint. A 4/4 god with Menace, Lifelink, and Indestructible for 3 mana and Orzhov. It can't attack or block unless there are 7 or more cards in exile. So yeah, once we get there, that's going to be nice. It won't take too long. That being said, what really matters is whenever one of our cards are put in exile from graveyards and or the battlefield during your turn, you draw a card and lose 1 life. And 1 life for 1 card is well worth it any day of the week in Commander. Again, you got 40 life, you use it, okay? This Commander goes in a different direction. Not like the blinking aspect of it. Like, okay, yeah, you can get a lot of value out of that, of course. And we've seen Commanders like, oh, hey, blink things, great, okay. That being said, the whole, hey, exile things out of graveyards, that's fun. That's something that is very repeatable in certain ways, and you can get a lot of value out of it and have a ton of fun with it. I mean, hey, Withered Wretch, a card that is not garbage, but not the most played card for a reason, right? It's a 2/2 Zombie Cleric for 2 mana, and it's good graveyard hate, like pay a mana, exile target card from a graveyard. That being said, when it comes to like graveyard hate, usually you'd have just like, oh, I can just like exile an opponent's graveyard instead. Just get rid of the whole thing. Not with this commander. You want 1 at a time, and this is the perfect card for that. Pay a single mana, get rid of something. All of a sudden, draw a card, lose a life. This is 1 mana, draw a card, lose a life. It is amazing with this commander, and it gives you so many possibilities when it comes to messing with players that really like their graveyard and like it not mess with. Also, Core, another great card to consider as well, though. 2/2 Phyrexian Core Cleric for 2 mana, and Orzhov, Death Touch. Whenever the creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. When it comes to, well, you're going to be losing some life, right? Like, you need some life gain as well. You can punch your opponents with this, that's lovely, but you need to actually kind of mitigate that life loss at a certain point, because maybe there's some infinite shenanigans that can happen with this one as well. When you're blinking, maybe things like Restoration Angel, certain combos with that too. 3/4 Angel Flash and Flying for 4 mana. Enters, you may exile target non-angel creature control, return the card to the battlefield under your control. This, like Felder Guardian, there's a lot of other combos with it. That being said, yeah, if you are blinking things or just like looping like a Fiend Hunter combo, cool. You get to draw as many cards you want until you can't anymore because you're gone, with no life, essentially. So yeah, mitigating that with the life gain effects like LSL Core can be amazing. Again, a commander that combines not only like blink effects and taking advantage of those, Fiend Hunter effects, taking advantage of those, but also individually targeted graveyard effects. Yes, please sign me up for that. Good enough for 5th place. Congratulations, Ketramose, the New Dawn. But now we move on to 4th place with Sita, Varma, Masked Racer, a 2/3 human rogue for 2 mana in Simic. And when it comes to Simic commanders, what I like to see number 1, Wizards, is not just, okay, lands and card draw. Yeah, clever, right? No one's ever done that. This is not that. Exhaust for X, green, green, and a blue. Put X counters on it. Then you may have the base power and toughness of each other creature you control become the equal to Sita Varma's power until end turn, which is amazing. It's absolutely awesome. Now, you can only activate that at once, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You have blink effects in blue. So, we're going to be able to activate that more than once when we need to. Essentially, this is a way to say, you know what, I can build this up in a multitude of different ways. Kind of like I talked about earlier with Redshift, like, yeah, the whole Raised by Giants card, amazing, make it to a 10/10, and then you can just spend the 3 mana to activate that ability. Not even put any mana in that X, and all of a sudden, your tiny little creatures become massive. Again, the Flying Men strategy dominates, swinging through at your opponents. It's absolutely huge. Again, the tiniest little 1/1 becomes absolutely massive and takes out your opponents. Or, how about something like Cold-Eyed Selkie? 1/1 Merfolk Rogue for 3 mana with Vnwxt. So blue players out there, look out. Whenever this deals combination to a player, you may draw that many cards. So much value to be had. Again, this is just a 1/1. So at a base level, it's going to be like, oh, okay, it hits just barely. All right, well, with this commander, though, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I activate that. Now this is a 10/10. Cool, it's swinging through, and it's hitting absurdly hard. Yes, please. And I draw 10 cards. Scepter Celebration, another way to take advantage of this as well. Equipment for 3 mana, +2/+0, and trample to that creature. On top of that, whenever a creature deals combination to a player, you make that many 1/1 white citizen creature tokens. And all of a sudden, you're like, hey, you know what? I am going to get through, trample through, maybe with my commander, you know, and because it does have trample, so let's get through with that if we need to, or just an evasive creature as well. But yeah, the extra power can be nice with the activation. That being said, I make a massive army, so the next time I swing through with my commander, you know, after I blink and reset that exhaust ability, all of a sudden, I pump that giant team that I just made too. And of course, again, when it comes to like Raised by Giants type cards, absolutely amazing. Black Letter Forge pump as well. You can also, of course, you're in green, store up a bunch of mana and utilize it for that X if you really want to. Horizon Stone, artifact for 5. You lose unspent mana, the mana becomes colorless instead. So store that mana up, use this mana bank essentially, utilize it, and all of a sudden, on a turn, just go absolutely crazy. Sita Varma, again, a commander that can take advantage of those lowly ground evasive creatures in a really cool, different way in Simic. Good enough for 4th place. Next up, 3rd place, Mimeoplasm is back, and in a big way. My goodness, 0/0 ooze for X in Sultai colors. When it enters, exile up to X creature cards from your graveyard. It enters with 3 counters on it for each creature card. Exile this way. By paying 2, comes a copy of target creature card. Exile with it, except a 0/0 and has this ability. A shape-shifting ooze that becomes absolutely massive and can do some crazy, amazing things. Yes, please, this is what we want. It's kind of like that Lazav, like the one like low the ground one, but in a different way. One that says, you know what? Let's just not utilize things out of graveyards. Let's utilize things out of exile. We get rid of them, we get bigger, and all of a sudden we can take advantage of that bigness. I mean, any kind of an infect creature plus this equals one-shot KO the vast majority of the time, which is awesome and amazing. But you also can take advantage of really weird cards like Joda's Avenger. Yep, bet you haven't seen this one before. If you have, you haven't thought about it in a long, long time. 4/4 Shapeshifter for 6 mana in blue. It's a pretty useless card, no offense. Pay 0 until end of turn. It gets -1/-1, gains your choice of Double Strike, Protection from Red, Vigilance, or Shadow. So, for amazing things. And of course, again, your commander is going to have enough power that you can utilize, you know, those counters. You can utilize, you know, the counters to say, I'll take some of that -1/-1. That's fine. I've got enough power anyways. And getting Double Strike, yeah, you can turn your commander into a 2-shot or maybe even a 1-shot KO with that. Yeah, the protection from red is quite nice, you know, if you need to get through, or like if someone's targeting with a red spell. Vigilance, nice to swing and keep back. And Shadow, basically unblockability because no one's playing Shadow creatures, so it's unblockable essentially. So all amazing things help your commander out. And of course, you can change it on the fly again. You can utilize this to give your commander Double Strike and Shadow for -2/-2. You swing through, it's through, your opponents have not blocked. And before the damage happens, you say, well, now my commander's Wall of Blood. Your opponent's like, what? Yes, now it's Wall of Blood. It is a 0/2 wall with all those counters on it still, so it's still surviving. Don't worry. That costs 3 mana, and all of a sudden I can pay 1 life. It gets +1 until end of turn. So it's getting through on an opponent again, and I say, okay, how much power do I need now to actually get to the amount that Double Strike will just take you out? Okay, cool. You're gone. It's basically hatred as a commander. Lovely. Buried Alive, a great way to set yourself up. Of course, there's plenty of great ways to fill your graveyard. You've got mill, you've got discard, but also you've got entomb effects like Buried Alive. Search life for 3 creature cards, put them on your graveyard, then shuffle. Set yourself up in a really big way for this commander. It's a really fun one, and again, gives you a lot of different avenues for success when it comes to switching between creatures and doing some really crazy cool things. Good enough for 3rd place. Congratulations. Welcome back, Mimeoplasm, Revered One. Next up, 2nd place, we've got Hashaton Scarab's Fist, a very cool brand new precon commander, a 1/3 zombie wizard for 2 mana in Urza, but it's actually an Esper commander. Whenever you discard a creature card, you may pay 2 and a blue. If you do, create a tap token, that's a copy of that card, except it's a 4/4 zombie. A really cool effect. I am a sucker for discard commanders, ones that care about when things are discarded. I absolutely love it because there are certain cards out there that you can really use and abuse and make the most out of. And being able to make a token copy of something just by discarding it lets you essentially skip out on a vast majority of the cost of that card. It also lets you get around casting restrictions too, like, oh, you have to, you know, just cast it on your turn because it doesn't have flash or whatever, you know, just Sorcery Spade. No. If you've got a free discard outlet at any time, you're like, okay, I discard this, I pay this, and all of a sudden I've got my 4/4 token copy of it, and I get whatever effects it has. Absolutely amazing. Like, you know, Diluvian Primordial. Again, if you have that aspect, you're just like, okay, all of a sudden out of nowhere, oh no, I lose out on 1 power and 1 toughness from this 5/5, which is now a 4/4. Oh darn. Flying Avatar for 7 mana. Again, no flash on this, but again, with your commander, it does not matter. You discard it on someone else's turn. You're like, okay, cool. I flash it in, essentially. Enters the battlefield for each opponent. You may cast up to 1 target instant card from that player's graveyard, paying its mana cost of a spell's cast this way, but a graveyard instead, exile instead. Yeah, amazing. Basically, just, hey, ETB, cast 3 things for free. Lovely. So much value to be had. Yeah, use and abuse ETBs in a big way with this. Scourge Familiar, one of my favorite cards of all time. I love this card. 3/2 for Phyrexian Imp for 5 mana in black. Flying, discard a card, add a black. Very simple, very effective. This is a discard outlet that is not only free, but it is mana positive. So with your commander's ability now, your ability basically just costs 1 and a blue with this in play. You discard a creature and you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll pay 2 mana. Awesome. I do that, and all of a sudden, I get a copy of that creature for free. Yeah, it's just a 4/4, but who cares? Rootborn Defense is an amazing card as well. Populate effects are huge. Wizards reprint Song of the Worldsoul, you cowards! Instant for 3 mana and white. Populate. Creature controller indestructible this turn. A great way to protect your entire team, and also get another token copy of whatever your best copy is. Absolutely. Use and abuse ETBs, do some massive things. Hashaton Scarab Space is so much fun. Absolutely love the design. Congratulations on your 2nd place finish. But in 1st place, we've got one that started off near the bottom, essentially, for me. Not at the bottom, but like near the bottom. The actual thought process around what makes this commander so cool had not occurred to me, or I wasn't nearly as confident with how it actually worked in one way. In one aspect, there was a question I believe I actually asked essentially when I previewed it the first time, but Captain Howler's Sea Scourge is so cool. First of all, Street Sharks. I love Street Sharks. If you don't know what that is, go look it up. It's amazing. All right, it's basically a knockoff of Ninja Turtles, Teenage Ninja Turtles, but it's sharks. I thought it was the coolest thing as a kid. Anyways, 5/4 Shark Pirate for 4 mana in Is It Ward 2, pay 2 life. Whenever you discard 1 or more cards, target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. For each card discarded this way, whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw a card. My goodness, amazing. Now, you might just be thinking, okay, well, again, it says 1 or more, right? Okay, it says 1 or more, so there's the limitation. It still pumps no matter what, again. So even if you wield, all right, you still get to, again, for each card discarded, pump +2/+0. So let's say you wield 7, all right? It's still +14. That's a lot of power to be had. That being said, although there is a limitation on this, again, with a free discard outlet, again, one of my favorite things of all time, and it's unfortunate that Scourge Familiar isn't in these colors, but still, you get to use and abuse this effect in such a cool way. Because if you have a free discard outlet, like let's say Prognostic Sphinx, a 3/5 Sphinx with flying for 5 mana in blue, discard a card against Hexproof until turn, tap it. Whenever it attacks, scry 3. Let's say I attack with Prognostic Sphinx. Okay, I do so. It's got flying. It's going to get through on one opponent most likely, right? I'm swinging through. I scry 3. That's nice. That being said, I start discarding cards one at a time. While this is already attacking, it's hexproof, which is lovely, so it's not going to be stopped by an opponent, which is great. On top of that, I'm giving it +2/+0 for each card I'm discarding. Amazing. But I'm also stacking the effect that whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player this turn, you draw a card. I am stacking that effect individually. Again, if you wheel, that's only one effect. But if you do individual discards, individual targets, I am getting all of that value. So again, if I discard, say, 7 cards, go big or go home, right? If I discard 7 cards with this, all of a sudden, when this hits, I get that trigger 7 times, drawing 7 cards. I just created a wheel with my commander by having a free discard outlet. That being said, again, your commander, Captain Howler, does not specify your creature. Whenever that creature does combination player this turn, doesn't have to be an opponent, doesn't have to be anything. It has to basically be any creature on the field getting through and hitting a player, and you can take advantage of that. So again, if you've got that free discard out with Prognostic Sphinx, you discard those cards, and all of a sudden, hey, oh, that player is swinging at that other player, and that creature's getting through. Even if it's the tiniest little 1/1, you're like, okay, I discard my hand. I give it plus 14 plus 0, and that's going to hurt a lot more now. Haha. But on top of that, I draw 7 when that actually connects, which is amazing. On top of that, though, because there's more, yeah, you're in red. You've got double strike effects. Amazing. Berserker's Onslaught for 5 mana. 10 creatures you control have double strike. Yeah, that can really help out you, obviously, in a big way. You get through with that Prognostic Sphinx for yourself again in that issue, in that little scenario I talked about, you know, the plus 14 plus 0, that was 17 power. Now it's getting through for all of a sudden 34 damage while also drawing me 14 cards. Yeah, double strike effects, especially instant speed ones, can be amazing, or ones that just grant it to every creature in the field. Yeah, that can be absolutely amazing. Chaotic, but amazing. Thought Reflection, again, a way to take advantage of this, too. If you draw a card, draw 2 cards instead. Yes, please. Being able to double up now so that when I am discarding cards, when I'm getting those low-to-the-ground evasive creatures, or just regular creatures or my opponent's creatures, whenever any creatures are getting through, essentially, and I'm discarding to give them that effect, now all of a sudden, I double up that draw. I'm losing 1 card. I'm giving that creature plus 2 plus 0 for each one I do, and all of a sudden, I'm drawing 2 cards for each card I lose. Captain Howler Sea Scourge takes discard in a different, unexpected way, and I absolutely love it. Again, a shark pirate, Street Sharks forever, is finally coming to fruition with this amazing design. I love free discard, absolutely. First place in my heart, Captain Howler Sea Scourge. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. As always, comment below with your thoughts on it, and of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.